A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up at 7 o'clock on WCNC Plus. Reaction pouring in this morning as the U.S. military strikes continue in the Middle East and the casualties go up.
We hope that this is mercifully short.
Iran's gonna be free.
I have hope.
What we're learning about the latest casualties and continuing strikes.
It's primary day right here in North Carolina. A number of elections up for contest, but a big one. Folks are looking at the North Carolina Senate seat. Who will represent Republicans and who will represent the Democrats? That story coming up.
Polls are now open across Mecklenburg County. We're live in Uptown previewing one of the most high-profile races, the race for Mecklenburg County Sheriff.
The I-77 toll lane expansion on a temporary hold.
I think this is a reset.
The next steps as historic Charlotte neighborhoods get another chance to speak.
And we're no strangers to hail damage here in the Carolinas.
We'll tell you how just tiny differences in our weather can make a big impact. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus.
Well, we have two accidents on I-77 inbound. I'll be covering all of this on WCNC Plus, but this one is new, just coming in about 2 minutes ago. I-77 northbound at I-485 is specifically out towards exit 90. We're seeing those delays there, lots of brake lights. And then remember that other one will be impactful as you're heading a little closer to the Uptown area, specifically at exit 9A, backed up to Clanton.
All right.
Chris will have a look at your forecast coming up in just 2 minutes on WCNC Plus. Streaming live at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We start things off this hour with a check of that WCNC weather impact forecast. Still a bit chilly this morning, Chris.
Yeah, definitely feeling the chill, and this will be the chilliest. But I want to point something out. It is 42 degrees right now on top of Beach Mountain. So this is also a phenomenon called warm air advection. That is just a simple way of saying we have warmer air that's being transported much higher up, about a mile above our heads. It's some good news. That means that we're going to be shifting things to a warmer forecast. We have some low-level clouds starting to translate itself into a little bit of fog. No troublesome fog that I'm seeing at this hour. And our Dallas camera is about 1,500 feet up. Can't really see up in the clouds there as well. So it really shows how low these have gotten. When I got to work, you could see perfectly. It does show that these are getting lower and lower. So it's this type of environment that oftentimes the radar is not going to pick up what's really happening on the ground. So mist, even a spot of drizzle, or certainly some on and off sprinkles is going to be a possibility this morning. Right around 40 degrees. This will be the bottom, my friends. With that cloud cover, we don't really have a chance to cool off too much more. And it's also right around when the sun's rising up, even though you don't see it, that we usually hit our low for the morning. 24-hour forecast compared to just a day ago. It is 2 to 8 degrees cooler. A little bit warmer in the mountains, though, because of what I was mentioning. And then our futurecast is showing that those spots of green could be here on and off. Still going to keep a sprinkled chance as long as we have these lower clouds for the rest of this morning, heading into the early afternoon. And then all of a sudden, it's going to start to get brighter during the middle of the afternoon. We start to see a brighter sky. And then we start to see a few of the sprinkles disappear. And then even spots of blue potentially could work in by the back end of the afternoon, heading into the evening. And by tomorrow, we should have a partly sunny sky. Where our lows go, which, by the way, this is where we should be, the upper 30s. We're pretty much there today. After that, we're nowhere near that. Our highs and our lows are blown out of proportion in a good way, because we instantly go from March end of February-like weather to literally May highs and lows. So 47, 54, either side of 60, even the mid-60s. Here's where our high temperatures go. This is about a 20-degree bump by tomorrow, mid to the upper 70s for your March 4th. For the 5th on Thursday, we have 80 degrees, and then we even challenge a record on Friday. 82 is the potential. I don't think we're going to break a record on Saturday and Sunday. Those records are the mid-80s. Friday's just a lower record than some of the other days. But speaking of, as we are springing forward Saturday into Sunday, we are springing the temperatures one step further back to the mid-80s on Tuesday and Wednesday, starting to feel a tad bit humid, but nothing overbearing. And then our best chance for rain, even a thunderstorm, will be Wednesday into Thursday. We'll keep an eye as that draws a little bit closer. But first, our first check of our morning commute here on WCNC Plus.
7:03 right now, and it's starting to get busy. Let's get straight to an important crash. It's going to be on I-77 and inbound lanes. We have two, actually. This one here is at I-485, so right by exit 90, Carowinds Boulevard. That's where we do have those delays building. Remember, inbound. This is a live camera look, kind of just putting that into perspective. That cars are moving, but they are quickly getting backed up. Another crash still sticking with I-77 is this right here, a little closer to Uptown at West Boulevard. We're seeing those impacts through Clanton Road. So again, two accidents, I-77, both coming in on those inbound lanes. If you take Independence inbound, we do have an additional crash, left shoulder being blocked out there by Briar Creek Road, so at least it's out on the shoulder. However, cars are just moving slowly as they're getting closer to Uptown, which we typically see, and they're also just driving a little carefully, driving with caution around that car that's on the side. And then finally, here's this, Harris Boulevard. This is our newest crash. It's south of Albemarle Road, still seeing a lot of green with it, so likely no big impacts as of now. Lisa.
Majestic, thanks. We are following some breaking news in Uptown this morning. Medic says one person is seriously hurt after a stabbing on Grandin Road. It's not far from Bank of America Stadium. Right now, it's not clear what led up to that incident. When we get more information, of course, we'll pass it along to you. This morning, folks are lining up at the polls with all eyes on the top of the ticket, that North Carolina U.S. Open Senate seat. With several candidates from both sides of the aisle on the ballot, today's vote could lead to one of the Democrats' best opportunities to flip a Republican-held seat and make some gains in Congress.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live this morning at Sharon Elementary School with more on what today's races could mean for the future. Richard.
Yeah, this is a big race, Ben. Good morning to you. As you well know, good morning, Lisa. Good Tuesday morning, everyone on the Plus joining us. We're outside of polling place number 1, precinct 71, where folks have been a steady line. They're expecting some big numbers here. And as you said, the top of the ticket is really the big deal. You've got with Republican Senator Tom Tillis choosing not to run for re-election. That left Roy Cooper, who's at the top of, presumptive candidate at the top of the Democrat ticket, and a Republican, Michael Whatley, who is at the top, expected to win the Republican ticket. Both of them are leading their respective fields. Whatley's facing six others, and Cooper five other candidates. Basically, this is a big election that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to when these two men go against each other. We actually have something from Kristen Welker when she talks about just how important this race is, not just for North Carolina, but for the nation as a whole. Take a listen.
Democrats believe one of their best pickup chances to take back the Senate is in North Carolina. The state of play there, former RNC chair Michael Whatley running far ahead of his contenders, expected to win the GOP primary, but we'll have to wait and see because he does have two challengers, and then it would face off, if he does in fact win, against the former governor there, Roy Cooper, someone who is able to win in that purple state. So Democrats feel as though that's a state worth putting resources toward. Now, I've been talking to Republican sources. I can tell you that they are already gearing up to divert a lot of resources to North Carolina, and they're concerned. Could that make winning some of the must-win states even more difficult? But it underscores the importance of North Carolina. It is must-win, Republicans say, if they are going to hold on to control of the Senate. Let's go to Texas now.
That just shows you just how important this seat is. There'll be a lot of attention paid to this particular race, and of course a lot of money funneled into the state race, and we can tell you that you'll see a lot more commercials with both political parties in this particular campaign. As the Democrats look to flip it, Republicans look to hold on to this seat. We'll have much more on this throughout the day as the polling places around the polling places in Mecklenburg County and throughout our viewing area. But for now, we're right here in the Foxcroft neighborhood. This is Richard Devane. We'll send it back to you.
Richard, thanks so much to that. Today's primary election has a long list of races that we are following, including several North Carolina U.S. House seats that, of course, is for Congress. There's the North Carolina Senate District 26, North Carolina House District 106, and, of course, the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's race. Now, coming up at 7:30, our Destiny Richards will join us live with a full look at that race for sheriff.
If you head to the polls today, they're already open about 40 minutes ago. They close tonight at 7:30. Make sure to go to your assigned polling place and bring your photo ID. And then tune in tonight right here on WCNC Plus. It's your election night headquarters. Coverage starts 4 p.m., goes all night till the races are called. Our reporters on all the big races, and we'll have expert analysis breaking down what the results mean for you in real time. 7:08 right now. New this morning, a Monroe man behind a bomb scare that forced the evacuation of the Union County Courthouse. Deputies say Elijah Bailey falsely called in a threat last Thursday, claiming he was afraid to appear in court after seeing a post on Facebook. Investigators later determined Bailey allegedly made the call because he had an active probation violation and feared arrest. He's now facing charges, including making a false bomb report, and remains in jail awaiting bond.
Charlotte city leaders are pressing for answers on the I-77 toll lane project after NCDOT extended its community listening period. At last night's meeting, council members say they still have some questions about the elevated design and why toll lanes are the solution.
How much does it improve the lives of the people who don't take the toll roads?
My maps personally is set up specifically to avoid tolls. I personally am not going to pay to ride on road that my taxes already paid for.
Now, while the city can't force a pause, NCDOT says it will continue meeting with impacted communities over the coming days. Meanwhile, 2 North Carolina senators are asking the Department of Transportation to pause work on those express lanes. In a letter to Governor Josh Stein, Senators DeAndre Salvador and Caleb Theodros say this project is moving too fast. And while they support infrastructure solutions that strengthen the region's economic future, those solutions should not come at the expense of established neighborhoods or the cost of public trust. Officials say the final design is still years away, with construction not expected until the early 2030s. Military bases here at home are doubling down on safety measures amid the war in Iran. Find out which restrictions are now in place.
7:12 now. As the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran enters now day 4, Israel says it's conducting simultaneous strikes in Iran's capital, Tehran, targeting Iranian military sites, and in the Lebanese capital of Beirut, targeting the Iran-backed group Hezbollah.
Iran, meanwhile, is continuing to strike U.S. allies in the Middle East. U.S. officials are urging Americans to leave the region. Here's Reed Binion.
At the Department of State, our #1 priority is the safety and the security of American citizens everywhere in the world.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio releasing a video on social media Monday as the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran continues, with continuing explosions across the Middle East.
I wanted to take this chance to speak directly to Americans who are in the Middle East.
Rubio's message came shortly after the State Department advised U.S. citizens in more than a dozen countries in the region to leave immediately. That included countries like Saudi Arabia, where the U.S. embassy in Riyadh was struck by suspected Iranian drones. That embassy now closed, as well as the U.S. embassy in Kuwait. In the U.S., Democratic lawmakers speaking out against President Donald Trump's decision to go to war with Iran.
There was no imminent threat to the United States of America by the Iranians.
President Trump taking to social media, pushing back against criticism from Democrats, writing the party, quote, has completely lost its way. Many Republican lawmakers standing by the president.
The commander-in-chief of our armed forces has the latitude that any commander-in-chief, any president always has, because they have a set of information that is sensitive, timely, and urgent.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
In response to the attacks over the weekend in the Middle East, military bases in eastern North Carolina are taking action. Officials say there will be 100% ID checks when coming onto base, along with other restrictions, including possible vehicle searches. Along with the base restrictions comes an increase in traffic, but city officials say actions like these are necessary, and they urge the residents to have a watchful eye.
We have to be more alert during times like this. So I think for our citizens, what it means is that we need to basically be more observant. If we see unusual activities, we need to report that.
Now, there is no timetable that's been announced for how long there will be base access restrictions. Officials say to expect travel delays during this time.
Austin, Texas police have identified the victims who died in a bar shooting on Sunday. Officials say 19-year-old Ryder Harrington and 21-year-old Savitha Shan were killed when the shooting unfolded just outside a popular beer garden in the city's downtown. 14 others injured, including 3 people who were taken to the hospital in critical condition. The suspect fatally shot by officers.
We are working in tandem with the FBI, conducting numerous interviews and gathering evidence. If you can imagine, we have over 150 witnesses to this event that we are working with the FBI.
Authorities say at the time of the shooting, the suspect had an undershirt with the Iranian flag on it. They're still working to figure out a motive in the shooting, including whether it was an act of terrorism or not.
7:15 now. Savannah Guthrie shared a new message on Instagram Monday after visiting a memorial dedicated to her missing mother. The Today Show co-host writing, quote, "We feel the love and prayers from our neighbors, from the Tucson community, and from around the country. Please don't stop praying and hoping with us." And ending that message with "Bring her home." It was accompanied by a photo of yellow flowers. It has been 30 days since Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her Tucson home. As of now, authorities have yet to identify a suspect in the case.
7:16 right now. Live pictures right now over uptown. A bit foggy out there as you step out the door. Chris standing by. He's talking severe weather preparedness week and has your latest weather impact forecast.
Take a look at this video. This is from April of 2024 when Rock Hill was slammed by a hailstorm that left more than $5 million in damage across the area. You can see just how intense that storm was and take a look at the size of the hail. So today, as part of Severe Weather Preparedness Week, we're helping to boost your hail IQ.
That's right. Chris walks us through how hail forms, why it can be so destructive, and what to look out for during storms here in the Carolinas.
Every year we do something like this, saying that this is how hail forms, going up and down above the freezing level. But this year we're going to do something different. This year we're doing some hail math, where I'm going to show you why a hailstone this size, about the size of an egg, is actually 20 times more destructive than the size of a quarter. When we reference hail, we're comparing it to everyday objects. Most of the hail that we see here is pea size, or a quarter of an inch. Hail that's 3/4 of an inch is penny size, 1.75 inches is golf ball size, and 2.75 inches is baseball size. Where over the past 10 years, the Carolinas have had over 2,400 hailstorms report over penny-size hail. For our hail math, we're going to compare a hailstone that's 1 inch in diameter to one that's about 2 inches in diameter. Let's crack the numbers. This may look scary, but hear me out. This is the formula for volume. This R cubed is what we're going to focus on, mainly just the 3. This shows that if we double the size of a hailstone, it contains 8 times more ice. So for simple math, 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. But 2 times 2 times 2 equals 8. So the heavier something is, the more force it causes. Even a small increase in hail size can significantly increase the destructive power. A hailstone that's the size of a quarter is considered severe. That would trigger a severe thunderstorm warning. That hailstone will fall to the ground at roughly 45 to 50 miles per hour. The 2-inch hailstone is 20 times more destructive and it falls at 65 to 70 miles per hour. Larger hail is most common from April to June in the Carolinas, with May being the peak month. The largest hailstone to ever fall in the Carolinas was 4.5 inches wide. That's about the size of a CD. That's happened 13 times, 8 in North Carolina, 5 in South Carolina. A hailstone that large will fall to the ground at about 100 miles per hour, and it has 400 times more destructive power than the one that triggers a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy with WCNC Charlotte. Yeah, just put it into perspective. So, of course, you see a lot of kids probably is like, what is that shiny circle that you're holding? Look at that, how it compares to my face. To see something like that, and that's where hail turns deadly. Once it starts getting up to this size, where you don't really think about hail as a deadly event, but when it starts getting up to this, moving at 100 miles per hour, you can imagine if it hits the right spot of the head. So that's why we always are keeping you a little bit more weather aware when it comes to hail. Now, that video that we started off with in Rock Hill is the most significant hailstorm that we've had in, I would say, recent years here, at least for our viewing area. Really, heart of most of the largest hail, believe it or not, is right along the North Carolina and South Carolina border. That's where we've seen most of the activity for at least over baseball size hail, at least some of those measurements. Our election day forecast, yep, the polls are already open. It's cloudy, not really a motivational start, but don't let that prevent you from heading there. I'll go after work. We're still not really expecting a lot of sunshine until about the middle of the afternoon. Mid to late afternoon, we start to see a brighter sky starting to evolve and coming out. And then eventually we are going to see a lot more sunshine. I would say still more clouds and sunshine for tomorrow, but it does get a little bit brighter. High temperatures in the mid to the upper 50s. Transitioning back to the severe weather outlook, we don't have anything immediately, and this is way too far out, but oftentimes as meteorologists, you have to look at patterns. One way that usually leads a perfect recipe for a strong storm system is where you get a record surge of warmer air. So record warmth, we're going to be talking about some areas down here in the southeast reaching 90 degrees for the first time. Even us here in Charlotte, we have a shot at the mid 80s. Now, combine that with moisture. That is going to lead to a lot of storms right here along the Mississippi River Valley. So the usual suspects, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, over to Mississippi, not to exclude Louisiana, Alabama. And even though we're right on the cusp, I think this eventually is going to head our way. So if I were to look at the far distant future where things are going, it's about day 10. So this is Saturday through Tuesday, we start to add a little moisture to the air, so that's why I kept the 20%, the typical 20% for a pop-up shower or storm. Most likely staying dry, but it's still there. It's really not until we have the combination of that moisture, that warm up, and eventually a cold front that could give us our best chance for rain, our best storm chance of the year so far. This is why we're severe weather preparedness week now, because we're already starting to flip on the switch. All right, Majestic, your turn. What do people need to know?
All right, let's get to it. Good morning, everyone. It's been an all right start to the day, getting a little bit quieter right now, but you know how it goes. It goes up, it goes down. Let's highlight a few important things that you'll want to know about if you're heading out anytime soon. Still following this is I-77 northbound lanes being impacted by this crash right there at I-485. Specifically, we're seeing delays backed up to exit 90. That's Carowinds Boulevard. You can see this is the lanes that will be impacted. Again, inbound lanes, if you're coming in on I-77, they're not completely stopped, but again, just moving a little slower than they typically already would be. Another problem spot isn't too far away. We're still talking about I-77 northbound. This is on West Boulevard, seeing those delays up to about Clanton Road. However, I just looked at the camera there, and Clanton is flowing a lot better at this point, so I bet this one's getting cleared. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about a new crash. It's south of Uptown. Guys.
Well, many of you are probably getting ready to have your breakfast. Did you know today is National Pancake Day? IHOP marking this occasion, offering some free short stacks to customers who dine in. That goes until 8 tonight without a purchase required. We know that Pancake Day is an annual event and can mean a busy time for some of the restaurants offering pancakes today. All right, 7:25 now. Time for us to take a quick break. We'll make sure that you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back.
Not the prettiest start to the day yet again, either side of 40 degrees, so it's cool, still kind of damp feeling. We have our head in the clouds here on our Dallas camera, and there's even some dense fog right here in Rowan County. So this is where we're seeing the lowest visibilities. The rest of us drivable, no worries. You just can't see too far off in the distance here. 58 degrees would be the high. I think it's really the 55 to 58 degree point that we're going to see across the greater Charlotte area. A little bit of glimmering hope. We could end the day with a little bit of sunshine, and then things get a lot better and warmer. Check this out. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast has a nice little warm up. 77 degrees on Wednesday, lower 80s on Thursday and Friday. Friday, I think it's going to be a record breaking day. And then after that, either side of 80 degrees and even warmer heading in the middle of next week. All right, Majestic, what do people need to know as they head out the door?
Good morning, everyone. Well, we do have a few accidents to let you know about. This one here is where we are seeing some congestion. This is I-77 out near Carowinds. This is mile marker 90 at least. So if you're coming in, say, from York County heading into Mecklenburg County, this is what it looks like. Slow moving. It's always slow moving, but it's really moving extra slow because of the crash that was just reported about 20 minutes ago. It's right here, inbound lanes at I-485. So keep that one in mind. Another one just reported out on I-485 near Providence.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson.
This morning, voters are headed to the polls now that the precincts have been open for 1 hour.
And a lot of big races we're following this morning, including the hotly contested Mecklenburg County Sheriff's race. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live in Uptown, breaking down the decision voters face as they head to the polls this morning. Destiny.
Yeah, we've been here at Greater Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church in Uptown. It's one of many polling sites that have been open for more than an hour now. Lots of people stopping here on their way to work this morning, and they've all said that it's very important for them to be voting. And there are a lot of important races on the ballot, including the high-profile race for Mecklenburg County Sheriff. Now, Democratic voters will be voting in this particular race either for the incumbent, that is Gary McFadden, or one of three challengers, former detention officer Antoine Nance, CMPD Sergeant Ricky Robbins, or retired Chief Deputy Rodney Collins. Nance says his campaign prioritizes fair pay and better working conditions. Robbins is focusing on recruitment, retention, and reopening Jail North. And Collins wants to reset the office's culture and address staffing shortages. McFadden, sheriff since 2018, builds his campaign on criminal justice reform and community engagement, but his tenures faced criticism over leadership and jail conditions. Here's what candidates said about those concerns.
It's political. It's political savvy at its best. These are their friends. These are their close friends. And so why not?
This doesn't happen randomly. I know some of the people who actually filed that petition, and these people are very trustworthy.
Regardless of where you are, how you conduct your business, it always needs to be professional. It needs to be done with tact.
Me, in my career, I've never had allegations, so that's something that I don't have to worry about in the future because the past predicts the future.
Now, there are no Republicans who are running for sheriff, so this is just a Democratic primary, and the person who wins will become the new Mecklenburg County Sheriff. Polls are open until 7:30 tonight. You have to go to your assigned polling place. Don't forget that. And if you are in line at 7:30, you can still vote. Live this morning in Uptown, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, Destiny, thanks for that report. Today's primary election has a long list of races that we are following, including several North Carolina U.S. House seats. That's for Congress. There's also NC State Senate District 26, the NC House District 106, and of course, North Carolina's open U.S. Senate seat. Now, coming up at 8 this morning, our Richard Devane is going to be live to break down that race, the Senate race, and its impact across the country.
Today, CAT's offering free rides to polling locations. This applies to all CAT services. You can find more details on how to plan your ride inside the CAT's Pass app. Like we said, polls now open for this year's primary.
That's right, and there are some big races that we are following in Mecklenburg County. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg, the ballot box.
Our sources to answer these questions: Michael Dickerson, Director of Elections in Mecklenburg County, and the North Carolina State Board of Elections. The first question: do you need an ID to vote? According to the NC Board of Elections, you do need your ID to vote in North Carolina. That includes a standard driver's license, a voter registration card with a photo, a passport, or a federal military ID. But there may be exceptions if you can't show one.
If you don't have an ID, they'll vote you what they call a provisional ballot. And you'll complete something called the reasonable impediment form that tells us why you don't have an ID.
The next question: can you vote anywhere in North Carolina? On Election Day, you have to vote in your precinct. And finally, can you wear political attire when you enter the voting booth? Dickerson says voters in North Carolina are allowed to wear whatever they want, including T-shirts, buttons, and stickers to endorse their candidates. But they cannot disrupt voting with things like yelling a political slogan.
Megan Bragg with that report. Now, remember, you're also not allowed to take pictures in the voting area. That is against the law in both North and South Carolina.
Speaking of South Carolina, by the way, we haven't mentioned it because your primary is in June of this year.
All right, let's check back in with Chris now for an update on our forecast. And you say this is the coolest day now for the rest of the week.
Yeah, no, things get much, much better from here, and it's going to be great in the atmosphere. Oh, wait, am I rhyming right now? Oh, yeah, yesterday was Dr. Seuss Day. Big shout out, by the way, to North Elementary School, so over in Kings Mountain, it was Dr. Seuss Day. So Dr. Seuss is one of my idols. I wrote a kid's book back in 2017. I got to share it with them. I've actually been to North Elementary School multiple times, and I love this day. An amazing group of kindergartners, first graders, and second graders. So shout out to the Tigers and for a wonderful time. We all gathered in the gym. It was awesome. Took pictures with everyone, bunch of high fives. So you are a great group of kids. I'm so proud of you. Keep reading. All right, let's move on to our forecast. 42 degrees right now in Beach Mountain. We literally have our head in the clouds overall. It is going to be one of those days that it could be damp at times. What I'm really starting to see is those clouds are starting to drop so often that we have a little mist and drizzle that is at the surface here. I was calling for some sprinkles, but I think it is a little bit damper than that as that cloud base is starting to descend, because literally drizzle and that mist is not picked up on the Doppler radar. So I'm still going to say, hey, this morning I think it's going to have a damp feel, cloudy, and once we get to the afternoon, things are going to get a little bit better. Dallas, same thing. It's super cloudy here. Compared to yesterday, temperatures are either side of 40 degrees, but it is a 2 to 7 degree difference on the cooler side, but actually 8 degrees warmer for you in Boone. You're the only one that's having a warmer morning. Here's a look at our futurecast. Still seeing that green. That does indicate that we have some of that mist and drizzle and some sprinkles, but then we start to see some of this darker gray. Once this starts to arrive, we're starting to break the clouds down. We're going to see some sunshine, and it will be some sunshine. Key words here. And I think at this time, we're also going to start to see a brighter sky, brighter atmosphere. And then as the sun is setting, those clouds will actually start to move back in. We should have some more fog yet again to start off your Wednesday, but temperatures are going to be zooming. We'll have some sunshine that'll be mixing here and there, but I have a high of 77 for tomorrow, 80 degrees for your Thursday. And then after that, check this out. We are challenging a record. The only record high that is kind of within reach in the near term is Fridays. Fridays, the only high we have is 80 degrees. That was set back in 2022. These daily high temperature records fluctuate all over the place. Sometimes you can have the mid to the upper 80s for this time of March, or you can have more barely reaching that 80 degree point. It's just a lower record for that Friday, March 6th. Not going to obtain it for your Saturday and Sunday, but see this 85, 84? I think we're going to be there before you know it. One thing also to mention, and this is crazy bringing this graphic out again, it's comfortable in the near term, but we're going to start to be around that humid line as we continue through the weekend into next week. So that eventually could lead to some storm fuel, better chance for storms. I really think it's the middle of next week that's our best chance, but we are going to have a chance for an isolated storm maybe by the end of your Saturday and Sunday. That's what these 20% are representing. This doesn't look to be any big deal or anything, but I don't think we're going to have any big canceling planned storms type of deal, and most likely we're staying dry. A couple of icons also to mention. Charlotte FC, that's right, it's back. The icon is back. That means they're having their first home game, and then we also have a spring forward as we officially are beginning daylight saving time. After that, here's the treat. 84 and 85 on Tuesday and Wednesday before we see an eventual cool down back to the 60s and even a return to the upper 50s like what we have today by day 11. That's still way far out, so a lot can change. Let's see it's changed in our morning commute, though, over the last 20 minutes.
It's still pretty busy. 7:38 right now. Let's get you going out the door if you have places to be. This is I-77 right now, mile marker 90 right near Carowinds. You can see cars are kind of just moving slow. They're always moving slow this time of the day, especially out here, but they're moving extra slow because of an ongoing wreck. Let's get you to that. Actually, we're first going to go to this one. This is one of our newer ones. This is I-45, the inner loop right there. As you're approaching Providence Road, that's where we do have some slow-moving conditions. That yellow there is indicating that. Again, I-45, the inner loop. Not saying stop-and-go traffic, but it will be impacted a little bit. Here's the one that I was just mentioning. I-77 northbound at I-485 right around exit 90. Still being impacted as that crash is not currently cleared. Zooming it on out, if you're in Gaston County, good morning to you. We do have those delays starting to build. I-85 inbound, again, Fort Mill, Rock Hill, if you're heading inbound, we do have a few problems on I-77. We already went over the first one. The second one here is I-77 still heading up towards Charlotte, up towards Uptown, so those inbound lanes. At West Boulevard specifically, we are seeing delays backed up to Tyvola. So it's starting to get a little bit busier there on I-77. I-77. This just popped up. Looks like it's a stalled vehicle in right around the Cornelius area or just north of it. Otherwise, slow-moving conditions if you're coming inbound from Lake Norman. Those are a few things that I'm watching for you right now. South Carolina, York County specifically. Here's some of your cameras as you are heading out the door.
The House Oversight Committee has released videos of its interviews about Jeffrey Epstein with the Clintons. We'll take a look next.
.42 right now, the House Oversight Committee has released video footage of the closed-door depositions of Bill and Hillary Clinton. The depositions in Chappaqua, New York last week were part of the panel's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The former president and Secretary of State each faced about 6 hours of questioning from lawmakers. Bill Clinton denied having any knowledge of Epstein's crimes during what he said was a brief acquaintance between the two.
Through my brief acquaintance with Jeffrey Epstein, though it ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was going on, I'm here to offer what little I know so I can do my part to prevent something like this from happening again.
A day earlier, Hillary Clinton maintained she had never met Epstein or had any communications with him. She also insisted that she had no information about the late convicted sex offender's criminal activities.
7:43 now. On this day back in 1991, Rodney King, an African-American driver, was brutally beaten by police with the Los Angeles Police Department after a traffic stop. It was a bystander who captured that video from his apartment balcony. That video quickly spread nationwide. The images showed officers striking King dozens of times with batons as he lay on the ground. This ignited some widespread outrage. When officers were acquitted the following year, anger erupted in the 1992 deadly Los Angeles riots. That was a pivotal moment in America's reckoning with race and policing.
South Carolina remembered civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson at the State House on Monday. Family, along with local leaders, celebrities, and supporters, gathered in Columbia to say their final goodbyes to the Greenville native. Michael White has more on Jackson's memorial.
Monday morning, Reverend Jesse Jackson being carried into the State House. Hundreds of people already waiting to pay their respects.
Black person
all the things that he has done, being a civil rights leader with Martin Luther King and Barack Obama, and him also running for president.
The Greenville native and civil rights champion helped reshape American politics and worked with other icons like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Jackson passed away last month at the age of 84 after battling a rare neurological disorder.
It was a positive black image as a child when I was growing up for me. And like I said, if it wasn't from him, it wouldn't have been no Barack Obama. And so for me, I think it's important to pay respects to those who walk before you.
Many here on Monday met Jackson personally and sharing those memories.
And I've had the pleasure of actually receiving an award here in Columbia with him for advocacy and activism.
I actually got to meet him in person. 2015, I was a part of the movement in Charleston, South Carolina, with when Walter Scott had passed away.
Some traveling almost 20 hours to pay their respects on Monday.
I would have drove 24 hours because Jesse would do that for us. You know, the manyest time that he marched and stayed on his feet and all that, and he was always for the people. He gave us hope.
The people here Monday say they feel the impact of Jackson's Rainbow Push Coalition and the work that still needs to be done.
You go see his Operation Push in Chicago, you'd be like, wow, amazing man, look what he built.
If I can't be who I ought to be until you are who you ought to be. And it just symbolized that ending of that era and moving on to the next.
Colorado University football is mourning the loss of 23-year-old quarterback Dominic Ponder, who died early Sunday in a car crash. Troopers say he lost control on a curve before that vehicle hit a guardrail and rolled down an embankment. His friends and teammates say it was devastating news, especially for those who had just spoken with him hours earlier.
It almost didn't feel real to a degree because it was like, dang, I was just laughing with you. You had just told me about the tattoo he had got. We were talking about the other tattoos he was thinking about getting. And then to get that news Sunday after church, it was like, I feel like I got hit by a train almost.
The university says counseling resources are being offered to the players and staff as that team prepares for spring practice without its quarterback. A judge has declared a mistrial in the case against Rashawn Jones, the former University of Miami football player accused of killing his teammate Brian Pata nearly 20 years ago. Now, jurors told the court they were deadlocked after several days of deliberations. Pata was shot outside his apartment in 2006. Investigators never recovered the gun. Jones was arrested 15 years later after a renewed look at the case and has been in jail ever since. The trial ended Monday without a verdict, leaving that long-running case unsolved.
Since it's meteorological spring, might as well do some spring questions. Yesterday, I asked you about the North Carolina state flower. Now I ask you, what is the South Carolina state flower? Is it the marigold, honeysuckle, the yellow jessamine, or the flowering dogwood? The answer coming up after the break. Okay, so I had asked a question, and now I'm going to ask my anchors, even though I feel one has an advantage of this. What is the South Carolina state flower? Is it the marigold, the honeysuckle, the yellow jessamine, not jasmine, or the flowering dogwood like North Carolina? What is your answer?
I mean, my opinion on this is really not important. You know, a native daughter here of South Carolina who was born and raised and spent just formative years in South Carolina. I mean, she really is the one to speak to this.
This is true. So the answer is C. But here's the thing, right?
That is correct.
It's yellow jessamine. But back in the day, we learned it, or as memory recalls, as the jasmine. So if you would have asked me without having any options, I would have been like, oh, it's the yellow jasmine. But clearly it's jessamine.
I mean, I know jasmine in general, like, you know, the...
Right.
I said jessamine. I have no idea what the flower is, but I actually do have a picture. Hold on, let me go get it. So I didn't really know what this one was, but we're all going to raise our flower IQ, I guess. So here is a look at the yellow jessamine. Jessamine.
Right.
Is it jessamine or jessamine? What do you think?
We said jasmine, but maybe it is jessamine.
Well, I knew the flowering dogwood. That was easy. It's a dog in a wood, but it's a beautiful flower regardless.
Yes.
Well, I think we're going to let good times roll. I think we're going to do North Carolina or South Carolina trivia question for the rest of the week, so we'll do it at the same time. Good job, native Carolinian. So Lisa gets 1 life point. Spend it wisely. We are going to see a pretty decent day overall. I was showing North Elementary School earlier on, but really we just have our head in the clouds. That's the main thing about today. And we are expecting going forward to eventually clear out some of these clouds. So for your election day forecast, we are anticipating these clouds to be really stubborn for the rest of the day. The 7 o'clock hour has been cloudy in the lower 40s. We're eventually going to get to the mid 50s, and there is a little sign that we are going to see some sunshine. Yesterday was a misleading day because the afternoon only gave way to the lower 60s. But going forward, we have the 70s and 80s are taking over. But check out where we've been. On Saturday, we had the lower 60s. Sunday, we were at 77, and Monday at 62. So we desperately want to get back to that 77 range because Sunday was amazing. That's exactly what we're going to have tomorrow, and the lower 80s on Thursday and Friday. But I was mentioning it is going to start to feel a little bit stickier overall because the main point that I need to make here is we have a chance for record warmth, not just what's happening on Friday. I went through that graphic, but we have the right setup. See that little high pressure system? That's going to be cranking warmer air out of the south and southwest, but that also sometimes is going to come with some moisture. So this is severe weather preparedness week. It's this type of setup when you collide some colder air from the northwest that leads to widespread severe storms. I think we're going to have our first chance for a widespread severe weather outbreak, at least around the Mississippi Valley, and I'll eventually head off towards the east the middle of next week. So we're not there quite yet, but we are starting to gather ingredients that we could eventually see that. I'm going to have a little bit more about our extended futurecast, what that storm system would look like, but let's get a double check of your morning commute before you head out the door to end the 7 o'clock hour.
All right, good morning, everyone. Let's get to it. Want to show you a few things if you are heading out anytime soon. We'll start with just a live camera look. This one's coming in on I-77. Still kind of slow-moving conditions where we did have that ongoing wreck out there near mile marker 90. So coming in from York County into Mecklenburg County. Another perspective near Clanton, just kind of busy as we are nearing now 8 o'clock. Couple of new things to mention. This is going to be north of Uptown, out by Lake Norman. This is I-77 southbound, really right between Mount Morn and Cornelius as you're approaching Lane Tree exit. That's exit 31. To the south even more. I'm not seeing any accidents between Huntersville and Davidson, but it is definitely slow moving as you're making that morning commute in towards the Uptown area. I-485 is also not clear. This is the inner loop right there approaching Providence Road. You can see all of that yellow that's going to continue back towards Matthews and even eventually up towards Mint Hill. Guys.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much for that.
Today in women's history, Caitlin Clark became the all-time leading scorer in NCAA basketball in 2024. The former Iowa standout passed Pete Maravich's long-standing record and finished her career with 3,951 points, the most ever by a Division I player, men or women. She's now continuing her career in the WNBA, playing for the Indiana Fever, carrying that impact into the professional game.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break right now at 7:55, but make sure that you keep it right here, streaming live on WCNC Plus.
Well, we got some droplets here on the lens and Monroe. Good morning, everyone. You have a chance for a little mist and drizzle. Some sprinkles is the main name of the game. Temperatures have been on the cooler side, but we're now starting to rebound. 40 degrees was our low for the morning. We're back up to 41, 39 right now in Lincolnton, 46. Boone, you were leading the pack right now. Incredible. You can see those lower visibilities off in the distance. We're eventually going to improve that mid to late afternoon where it starts to get a little bit brighter. Not a great day. Temperatures really stuck in the mid 50s for the most part. Maybe if we get a little more sunshine, we'll have a chance at the upper 50s. But our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast trending in a great direction. We're literally turning it up by 20 degrees tomorrow under partly sunny skies, 80 on Thursday, chance of a record on Friday, and then flatlining around 80 degrees to complete the weekend heading into next week. Let's see if we have any issues for your morning commute. Majestic, what's going on?
It's slow moving. This is going to be I-77 right here out towards Westinghouse. You can see cars are moving, but they are moving very slowly. For that Tuesday morning commute, nearing that 8 o'clock hour, we're covering everything for you on WCNC Plus. However, here's a crash. You can see that red indicating stop and go traffic. I-77 northbound at I-485. There's an active crash there, specifically at exit 90. Make sure you allow for plenty of drive time.
Streaming live at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. We start with the latest on the conflict in Iran. At this hour, 6 American service members have been killed since Operation Epic Fury began, with more than a dozen seriously injured.
It comes as today the Trump administration set to brief Congress on the Iran situation for the first time. Right now, the State Department is warning Americans to leave more than a dozen Middle East countries, you see right here, citing serious safety risks as Iran retaliates. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth insists that Iran would not become Trump's Iraq, but President Trump signaled the conflict could stretch well beyond the original 4 to 5 week time span. New video shows the United States and Israel hitting thousands of targets inside Iran, continuing their joint campaign to take out Iran's missile capabilities after they killed the Ayatollah there. So far, there have been more than 600 people killed across the Middle East. That number expected to climb.
Well, this morning, folks, will be heading to the polls with all eyes on the top of the ticket this primary day. We're talking about North Carolina's U.S. Senate seat. With several candidates from both sides of the aisle on that ballot, today's vote could lead to one of the Democrats' best opportunities to flip a Republican seat and make some gains in Congress.
WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane now live from South Park with more on today's race and what it could mean for the future of the state.
Yeah, good morning to you, Ben. A good morning to you, Lisa. Good Tuesday morning, everyone out there on the Plus watching us here on primary day. This is a big deal. Now, today, both Roy Cooper and Michael Whatley, the presumptive candidates for both the Democrat and Republican ticket for U.S. Senate of their parties, have challengers. But really, the big battle comes after today, when they become the nominees of their party, because then the battle royale starts to see if this can be a seat that can actually be flipped for the Democrats, or if Republicans can hold on to it, and in doing so, pretty much hold on to the U.S. Senate. Let's listen to Kristen Welker from Meet the Press break down how important this seat is, not just in North Carolina, but for the country.
Democrats believe one of their best pickup chances to take back the Senate is in North Carolina. The state of play there, former RNC chair Michael Whatley running far ahead of his contenders, expected to win the GOP primary, but we'll have to wait and see, because he does have two challengers, and then it would face off, if he does in fact win, against the former governor there, Roy Cooper, someone who is able to win in that purple state. So Democrats feel as though that's a state worth putting resources toward. Now, I've been talking to Republican sources. I can tell you that they are already gearing up to divert a lot of resources to North Carolina, and they're concerned, could that make winning some of the must-win states even more difficult? But it underscores the importance of North Carolina. It is must-win, Republicans say, if they are going to hold on to control of the Senate.
So you can expect to see a lot of television ads, a lot of media coverage, and a lot of attention as this race continues. Of course, we'll keep you posted on what happens in today's primaries as well. We're right here in Charlotte. This is Richard Devane. I'll send it back to you.
Richard, thanks so much. And that Senate race driving a lot of people to the polls and into early voting. In fact, this year, more than 700,000 people voted early across North Carolina. And here's the thing, that's up more than 25% from the last midterm primary back in 2022. Now, as you would expect, Democrats made up a significant portion of that 700,000. And as you can see, almost 100,000 more Democrats voted early than those who are registered Republicans. Today's primary election has a long list of races that we are following. In addition to that U.S. Senate seat, there are several NC U.S. House seats for Congress. There's NC Senate District 26, the NC House District 106, and the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's race. Coming up at 8:30, our Destiny Richards joins us live. She's going to have a look at that race for sheriff.
And a few quick reminders if you're getting ready to cast your ballot. Polls opened about 90 minutes ago, and they close tonight at 7:30. Make sure you go to your assigned polling place and take a photo ID. And then tune in tonight right here on WCNC Plus. We are your election night headquarters. Coverage starts at 4 o'clock, goes all night till the races are called. Our reporters on all the big races, and we'll have expert analysis breaking down what those results mean for you.
Ben will be there as well. Make sure you check it out. 8:05 now. City leaders are pressing for answers on the I-77 toll lane project after the Department of Transportation extended its community listening period. At last night's meeting, council members say they still have some questions about the elevated design and why those toll lanes are the solution.
How much does it improve the lives of the people who don't take the toll roads?
My maps personally is set up specifically to avoid tolls. I personally am not going to pay to ride on road that my taxes already paid for.
Now, while the city can't force a pause, NCDOT says it will continue meeting with impacted communities over the coming days. Meanwhile, 2 North Carolina senators are asking the Department of Transportation to pause work on those express lanes. In a letter to the governor, Senators DeAndrea Salvador and Caleb Theodros say this project is moving too fast. And while they support infrastructure solutions that strengthen the region's economic future, those solutions should not come at the expense of established neighborhoods or the cost of public trust. Officials say the final design is still years away, with construction not expected until the early 2030s. All right, 8:06, let's check back in with Chris now for another update on our forecast.
And it is cloudy, kind of a miserable start to the day, but we have that hope in the back of our brains that the 70s and the 80s are going to be with us before you know it. 46 degrees right now in Boone. It is crazy that Boone, you are the winner right now. 39 degrees around Hickory, 38 for you in Statesville. And this is a cooler day overall. Only exception, of course, is Boone, where we're anywhere from about 2 to 7 degrees cooler across the area. And today is going to be a little bit warmer for the afternoon, at least, compared to yesterday. And I think we have a better shot of seeing a little bit of sunshine. This cloud cover is already starting to break, but it's a really low deck of clouds. And the problem with our satellite and radar when we have this type of environment, it doesn't pick up on what's happening at the surface all that well because it comes out at a slight little radar beam. So the further and further it gets away, you're actually seeing less and less. So that's why I still think some sprinkles, some mist and drizzle will be working its way in here and there. But all in all, it does get a little bit better by the back end. And I'm just letting you know, while you were sleeping or while you were up, it's been so cloudy that we literally missed out on the lunar eclipse. We would have been able to see a red moon because it officially turned full this morning right around 6:30. We're not going to have another one here in the Charlotte area until 2029. So bummer. That's the problem with some of these celestial events. You need the clouds to behave for you. So our bus stop goers started off their day in the lower 40s. So a lot of kids are heading to the bus stop right now. When they're getting home, we're expecting an overcast to a mostly cloudy sky. So I think it's close to the 3 to 4 o'clock hour. Seeing a little bit of sunshine that's trying to work its way through that cloud cover and even some spots of blue sky. Now by the evening forecast, Taco Tuesday, whatever you're doing, we have a mostly cloudy sky, which is going to temper our cool down. We have the lower 50s really for the end game of the evening. And then overnight tonight, it does look like it is going to be a milder one, only dropping to the mid to the upper 40s this time. Should have a slightly clearer sky. And then tomorrow, I think it's a partly sunny day. That just means more clouds than sunshine, but at least you're seeing a lot more blue sky. But tomorrow does start off with a little bit of fog, 77 degrees, followed by 80 degrees. All right, let's get right to it. Our 7-day forecast. I am going to turn to a 10-day forecast. I'll show you that later, but first let's get to our morning traffic.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Let's get to it. Here's my map here. Still a handful of ongoing problems. Let's just get to the most important things for your morning commute. It's going to be right here. You see those colors? Never a great sign, meaning that traffic is being impacted by a crash here. I-77 northbound right at I-485. It is backed up to Carowinds Boulevard. That's exit 90. I mean, this delay is ongoing. Here's a good camera just to give you a perspective. An exit close to that. You're seeing those lanes that are moving. They're just moving very slowly there. That's out by Westinghouse. And then this is going to be I-485, not too far away, the southern portion of it. The inner loop approaching Providence. We do have slow moving traffic because of that crash between Providence back towards Matthews, eventually up towards Mint Hill. You can still see lots of other things that are currently ongoing. If you're coming in from Huntersville, slow moving conditions. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to continue to talk about what's happening north of Uptown, but don't forget this one is still ongoing as well. I-77 at West Boulevard where there is a crash. Lisa.
Majestic, thanks. Before we head to break, here is an exclusive shopping deal for our viewers.
Hey everybody, here at ShopTVDeals.com, we love to bring you products out there that are actually going to make your life better. Let's keep it real. All of us have our entire lives on the phone these days. All those videos, all those photos, all of those memories, and you don't want to lose it because of a lost phone or a storage issue. So check this out. A small but mighty device, the Click Free Pro. It's so easy to use. Let me show you what to do. First, you download an app on the phone. Just takes a minute or two. Super easy. Then you connect the device to your phone. It has all kinds of adapters here, so no matter what you have, you should be good. You open that app, and literally, with one touch, you start backing up all of those photos, which is a big help for people like me, because I got 15,000 photos in this thing. Also, not just about storage here. Think about all those old photos in your home, whether it's in an album like this, or just photos in a shoebox somewhere. There's a scan function on this app as well. So you literally can take one of those old pictures, use the app, scan it, and you'll never lose that image again. This does so much. It's absolutely amazing. No membership fees, no subscriptions, so it's super easy and will save you a lot of problems. And on top of that, 50% off. We have an amazing deal. Normally this would cost you $200. Today you get it for less than $100. So scan that QR code at the bottom of your screen or check us out online at ShopTVDeals.com. Back up those photos now. Don't lose them.
Experts say millions of us are now turning to chatbots for health questions, but they warn users to understand the limits before relying on them. Doctors note that AI tools can explain test results or summarize medical records, but they are not a replacement for professional care and shouldn't be used to diagnose your symptoms. They also point out that chatbots can give a mix of accurate and inaccurate information. Anything you upload isn't protected by medical privacy laws like HIPAA. They add that AI often struggles in real-world conversations while missing details that can lead to bad advice. As I shared with the team here last week, ChatGPT told me that Joe Biden was president and then doubled down 3 times. So caution before you take medical advice from chatbots.
They are not always reliable. Well, new research shows that breast cancer cases worldwide continue to climb they could climb to more than 3.5 million by the year 2050. The study analyzed 30 years of data from more than 200 countries, and it found deaths nearly doubled in those low-income nations, while high-income countries saw about a 30% drop thanks to early detection and treatment. Experts recommend mammograms every other year for women ages 40 to 74, and self-exams are no longer part of standard guidelines. The findings, published in the Lancet Oncology, note that in 2023 alone, more than 2 million women were diagnosed worldwide.
New research suggests popular GLP-1 weight loss and diabetes drugs may be linked to a slightly higher risk of osteoporosis and gout. The study found about 4% of users develop osteoporosis compared to just over 3% of the general population. Rates of gout also modestly higher among people taking the medications. Researchers say the findings did not prove the drugs caused those conditions, but highlight the need for more monitoring when it comes to bone health, nutrition, and exercise.
Well, some people are battling Parkinson's disease in eastern North Carolina, and they're getting help by throwing some punches.
NBC's Haley Hollinger shows us how Parkinson's patients are getting help thanks to the sport's fundamentals and physicality.
A hard-hitting sport is helping some living with Parkinson's disease.
I like the camaraderie that we get in that Rock Steady boxing. It's not just boxing the bag or boxing Alyssa. It's a group of us guys who have Parkinson's, and we're dealing with it the best we can.
Chet Harrison is just one student in the Rock Steady boxing class Tuesday at UNC Health Lenore's Minges Wellness Center.
And he says the classes really help him spar with Parkinson's.
It keeps me exercising, it keeps me moving, it keeps me stretching my joints and muscles.
Instructor Alyssa Dunn says the physical fundamentals of the sport have shown benefits in those with the disease.
So pushing your chest forward while you're punching, keeping a defensive position where your hands are here, is helping you keep those muscles intact that really, don't get the work that they need. So.
That's why she says Rock Steady Boxing was the perfect exercise class to add to the Wellness Center.
It's working on picking up your feet, correcting your incorrect posture. It works on almost everything physically that is affected by Parkinson's.
From footwork,
you ever get into any altercations with anybody in the room?
To mostly shadow boxing.
Well, she lets me do that occasionally, yeah.
The Rock Steady boxers appreciate having the chance to get more skills to keep combating Parkinson's.
We would put our hands out and go, rock steady, fight back. And that's what we're doing, we're fighting back.
Love that. They are fighting indeed. All right, now some live pictures. This is I-77 near Westinghouse. You can see the traffic there heading north a little slow this morning, but Jessica's going to have an update on your morning commute when we come back.
So a question I got asked recently is, what's the earliest Charlotte has ever hit 90 degrees? Great question, Callie. Well, March 17th, 1945. So literally at the back end of World War II was the earliest 90-degree temperature ever recorded in Charlotte history. Now, on average, we usually have our first one by about May 20th. So that's the typical. I'm not saying that we're going to do it over the next 10 days, but say if all of a sudden we exceed expectations, because I do have a couple of mid-80s, this would be the earliest that we've ever done it. Now, we've done multiple 89s. There's been kind of a tease. Meanwhile, on the inverse, the latest that we've ever hit our first 90-degree temperature was July 8th. 2003. That was a bunch of 89s. I've looked into that in the past. As far as 90-degree days in recent years, in 2025, 54. The year before that, we had 47. The most we've ever had is 88. And then back in 1967, only 8 90-degree days. But the top line here says it all. On average, we usually have about 44 90-degree days. Now, most of those happen in July. That's usually where we hit our hottest temperatures. But truly, we've hit the triple digits in July, we've done it in June, and we've done it in August. So it's really any time during those summer months of meteorology that you could have those temperatures exceed expectations. Our high temperatures over the next 10 days are crazy because realistically, this is a forecast you would see in May. Maybe a crazy dip to the 50s, but really after today, just focus on those temperatures. During the month of May, we really average the mid to the upper 70s, reaching the lower 80s by the mid to latter part of the month, and then usually transitioning to June, we're talking about 85 degrees. So realistically, after today, it feels like May and borderline June. Then we start to come back to a little bit more stark reality where we should be at the transition from March into April, but even the cool down isn't all that vast. Now, you're only seeing 10 days of data here. If I were to add one more on here, I think we're likely going to be around a similar range that we have today in the upper 50s. So enjoy this above average surge. Now, it might sound ridiculous put in this context, but technically this is a heat wave. The base definition of a heat wave is exceptional or exceeding temperatures for what the seasonal temperature usually is. So whenever you have a well above average temperature trend, that is a heat wave. And we're talking about a 20 degree upgrade across the board pretty much here, because we're averaging 61 degrees right now for a typical high. Now, we have anywhere from 79 to 85 degrees Thursday through next Wednesday. That is substantial, and really keeping an eye on the transition. Whenever you see a big drop like this, it's usually a cold front. Whenever you see a big drop and you have temperatures in the 80s and you start to add some moisture there, that's that classic recipe that we could have a strong storm system. So that's one that we're really starting to recognize. Also, some of the model data, I truly didn't even change that because I thought this was really interesting. All the setups, even though it is so far out and it most likely will change, already a 60% chance at the back end of that forecast really shows that it is a perfect setup. Now, I'm hoping by next week it's nowhere near that because we're talking about a severe weather outbreak, maybe the first one, something that we're just watching, not anything set in stone. All right, let's see what's maybe slowing you down for your morning commute. All in all, it hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, we've had accidents, but none that have really slowed a ton of people down for a long amount of time. So we'll kind of take that as a win, although it's never a win when we still have problems out on those roads. One new accident to let you know about is out near Lake Wiley. It's here on Shopton Road, west north of Wildlife Road. We do still have mainly green with it, so not seeing any major concerns. I-77, we've been talking about that crash out there by I-485. It just cleared. However, I do still see those delays on I-77 inbound, but we're kind of used to that this time of the day. Billy Graham Parkway, new accident just reported at I-85. Some yellow there with cars moving slowly right around the Queen City. Not seeing any huge concerns, but this is new. It's on North Graham Street, southbound at Brookshire Freeway. It is backed up a bit, so we'll keep you up to date with the very latest. Guys.
All right, Majestic, thanks so much for that.
Today in Women's History, thousands gathered in Washington, D.C. for the first national event of the American suffrage movement. The 1913 parade was organized by Alice Paul and the National American Women's Suffrage Association. Women marched down Pennsylvania Avenue demanding the right to vote. The historic designation helped build momentum for the eventual passage of the 19th Amendment.
All right, 8:24 now, time for us to take a quick break. We'll make sure that you keep it right here, streaming live on WCNC Plus. Not the best start to your Tuesday, but it's primary day. Don't forget to go out and vote. But Chris says things are going to be improving. He'll have a check of your forecasts coming up.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to do something different for you. Usually I show you kind of the today, tonight, and the 7-day, but I want to show you the next 10 days because it's astronomical. Check this out. Today separates itself from all the rest for the coldest reasons. It's also super cloudy today. We will see a little bit of sunshine starting to pop late day, but after today, we're talking about a 20-plus degree upgrade. 77 was our high on Sunday, so if you're missing that weather, it's back. And then we have the lower 80s going forward. Friday is likely a record breaker, right around 80 through the weekend, and even the mid-80s next Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, eventually we are going to see a little bit of a downfall, but even our lows are nowhere near that freezing point, well above average where the 50s and 60s take over. As far as our rain chances, we have it going on this morning, slight chance popping up over the weekend, but our best chance is really 10 days out. All right, Majestic, what do people need to know this morning?
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Let's get you going. If you're heading out the door anytime soon, this is I-85 here, right near Sam Wilson. Traffic is still going. It's a busy start to the day. At least lanes are flowing just fine. I'm covering all these accidents on WCNC Plus until 9 o'clock this morning, but this is a new crash. It's on Shopton Road, just west north of Wildlife Road. Still seeing some impacts there. It's out by Lake Wiley. Make sure you take it easy.
for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. America's war in Iran expanding with new strikes and the promise of a bigger wave to come. Here's what we know at this hour. There have now been 6 U.S. service members killed, and the president warns more American deaths are possible. The U.S. and Israel have struck more than 1,250 targets inside Iran since the war started. President Trump says the operation in Iran could last at least a month, and that he's not ruling out ground troops in Iran if necessary. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says that this war in Iran will not be endless and that the U.S. goal was not regime change. We'll continue to cover this here on WCNC Plus.
This morning, voters are headed to the polls. Now the precincts have been open for 2 hours.
A lot of big races we're following this morning, including the hotly contested sheriff's race here in Mecklenburg County. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live in Uptown, breaking down the decision voters have in front of them as they head to the polls this morning. Destiny.
Yeah, we're here at Greater Mount Moriah Primitive Baptist Church in Uptown. Polls have been open for well over 2 hours now, and there are a lot of important races on this ballot. We've heard from one voter who came to vote for a sheriff, and he says he's looking for transparency and professionalism from this position. Now, here's what you need to know. Democratic voters are coming out today to vote for either the incumbent Sheriff Gary McFadden or 3 other challengers. One of 3 challengers, former detention officer Antoine Nance, CMPD Sergeant Ricky Robbins, or retired Chief Deputy Rodney Collins. Nance says his campaign prioritizes fair pay and better working conditions. Robbins focuses on recruitment, retention, and reopening Jail North. And Collins wants to reset the office's culture and address staffing shortages. McFadden, sheriff since 2018, built his campaign on criminal justice reform and community engagement, but his tenure has faced criticism over leadership and jail conditions. Here's what candidates said about those concerns.
It's political. It's political savvy at its best. These are their friends. These are their close friends. And so why not?
This doesn't happen randomly. I know some of the people who actually filed that petition, and these people are very trustworthy.
Regardless of where you are, how you conduct your business, it always needs to be professional. It needs to be done with tact.
Me, in my career, I've never had allegations. So that's something that I don't have to worry about in the future because the past predicts the future.
And there's no Republican candidate for sheriff. That means this is just a Democratic primary, and the person who wins will become the new Mecklenburg County sheriff. Now, there's plenty of time to vote at the polls. You must go to your assigned precinct, and polls close at 7:30 tonight. If you are in line at 7:30, you will still be able to vote. Live in Uptown, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
Destiny, thanks. Today's primary has a long list of races that we are following, including several North Carolina U.S. House seats. That's for Congress. There's also NC State Senate District 26, NC House District 106, and of course, North Carolina's open U.S. Senate seat. Now, what happens today will set the stage for the general election in November.
The part you play in possible new leadership across our community is crucial, so we want to make sure that you are prepared when heading to the polls. WCNC Charlotte's Giselle Thomas now live up in Guilford County this morning with what you need to know. Giselle?
Yes, I'm actually here right outside of a local polling district here in Guilford County. It's G11 and it's off of North Green Street here. When I tell you guys there are 165 voting places all throughout Guilford County where people can cast their vote. Let's get into what you need. Now, firstly, you need to have a valid photo ID. Also, that can be a passport, that could be a military ID, or even a driver's license. Something else to keep in mind, Election Day voters must vote at their assigned precinct. Also, you can only vote if you're registered. A quick way to do that is if you visit the State Board of Elections website. You can also type in your name, and then you're able to even see if you have a sample ballot, and it'll also provide you with the information and everything you need for today. I was able to speak to our local elections director here, who tells us just how it's a team effort and how the poll workers are there to make sure everything goes smoothly.
We have this great dedicated crew. We'll use over 1,000 people today to process voters through, and they come to a lot of training. This is time out of their day. It's very long hours, and they're working so hard. On election day, these are folks from your neighborhood, and sometimes there's this great community vibe within each precinct. But know that they're taking their job seriously. There is a lot of chain of custody, a lot of processes that they've been trained to do.
The Board of Elections here tells me that they are ready to go. The plan is to be here all day. We know that polls here in Guilford County close at 7:30 p.m. But I was also able to speak to some people who stopped by that say they wanted to just beat the rush this morning. The best way to explain and give you an idea of what things are looking like, people are kind of coming out in waves, especially since we have this little fog and mist coming. But the main thing is people are coming out and saying that their vote matters. Live in Greensboro, Giselle Thomas, WCNC.
All right, Giselle, good to know. Thanks, we appreciate it. Today, CATS is offering free rides at polling locations. It applies to all CATS services, so think the buses, the Blue Line, the Gold Line. You can find more details on how to plan your ride inside the CATS Pass app. And tune in tonight here on WCNC Plus. We are your election night headquarters. Coverage starts at 4 and it goes all night till all the races are called. I'll be here. Our reporters are going to be out on all the big races, and we will have expert analysis breaking down the results and what they mean for you.
8:36 now. Also happening today, CMPD Chief Estella Patterson will continue her community conversations. Today's event will be held at the Cokesbury United Methodist Church on Idlewild Road in Southeast Charlotte. There you can share your concerns with Chief Patterson and learn about resources available to help keep your family safe. That event starts at 6 this evening. All right, let's check back in with Chris now. He says things are improving, but I'm looking at that view from Beach Mountain and can't really see much right now, Chris.
Yep, this is a beautiful shot, and sometimes you can be up here and get your head above the clouds, but no, those clouds are so thick through all different levels, but they're certainly a lot lower than they normally are. 43 degrees, where it's actually warmer there than it is in Charlotte. That says something. In Monroe, you can see these water droplets on the lens, so we have had a fine little bit of moisture that's been out there, so it still has a damp feel, some sprinkles on and off. Not the prettiest morning, and here's another backup of how lovely it is. At least you can see the cable right here from one of our towers. This is also expanding some of that fog. This is nothing super dangerous. Down to about a 2-mile visibility. Tough to see off in the distance from place to place, and down to a 5-mile visibility in Charlotte. Not a big deal. It just doesn't really create a great looking day. 41 degrees right now in Charlotte. As I mentioned, it is much warmer up in the mountains. 46 degrees is the warm point. 45 for you in Chirag, and eventually later on things will get a little bit better. So our election day forecast, temperatures reaching the mid to the upper 50s. And often, I think by the end of the afternoon, we are going to see a little bit of crack in the cloud cover, allowing for a little bit of sunshine. But here's another good shot of how little you can see off in the distance. Again, it's not a big problem. It just doesn't create a good day, and you can't really see too far. Now, there's sometimes when you have visibilities like this that could drop things on and off. So once that fog starts to clear, we'll get a little bit brighter. So I think you will have a brighter overcast sky, eventually giving way for some spots of blue sky, mainly in the mid 50s, but we could have some reach the upper 50s, those who see a little more sunshine. Then we flip it over that we have the upper 40s by tomorrow, and then the upper 50s by Friday into the lower 60s on Saturday. So our hour-by-hour forecast tomorrow, I think we're starting to see a lot more of those golden rays and a lot more of that blue sky. Temperatures mainly in the mid-70s, but I have a high that was similar to what we had on Sunday, 77 degrees. And then we have 82 degrees on Friday, so we're going to be potentially challenging a record there. We're close to record, or at least closer to a record on Saturday and Sunday than the normal of 62 that'll be the new normal by the weekend. But then after that, I think that we will see a big surge heading into Tuesday and Wednesday. That's where we're going to have a shot at the mid 80s, and if it keeps on trending up, could even be in the upper 80s. And one piece of the severe weather puzzle is starting to get added. Now, this is still measly values, but what you're seeing here is a transition from comfortable air to a little bit more humid air. That is starting to be upon us, and that eventually could lead to our first real chance of some stronger thunderstorms. So I'll have more on that and coming up. But first, our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. After today, it feels like May. So get ready, enjoy it. I'm already planning grilling out on Saturday, maybe Majestic too. All right, what's going on?
Morning, everyone. I think lots of people will be looking forward to that spring-like weather. Good morning, everyone. It is not the most beautiful start to our day. Your area roadway is nice and dry, though. This is I-485 out near Oakdale Road, so the northern half of I-485. Not seeing many issues there. We do have several icons still popping up, so let's go through a few important things. This is on Independence, inbound lanes at Briar Creek Road. That's exit 244. We're seeing those delays backed up to Sharon Amity Road, so 247. So bottom line, if you're heading inbound on Independence, allow for plenty of time to get to where you need to be, or maybe just take Monroe Road inbound. As we're heading to the north, a new crash on Prosperity Road at Ridge Road, seeing just minor delays there. And then heading down to the south, Billy Graham Parkway at I-85. We've been reporting on that for about 20 minutes now, still not cleared. I like that I don't at least see the red, meaning there's small delays, but nothing too significant at this point. Guys.
Gas prices have jumped since the war in Iran began. We're going to take a look at just how big that jump is. .43 now. President Trump says it could take longer than a month to end Operation Epic Fury, though he claims it's ahead of schedule to reach his goals. But the death toll of American service members is growing. As NBC's Alice Barr reports, these military operations have also stranded Americans in combat zones.
This morning, war in the Middle East is intensifying. The U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, struck by drones. A Saudi official tells NBC News no one was injured. Now, several U.S. embassies across the region are closing, ordering non-emergency personnel to leave, though thousands of flights are canceled, stranding American travelers.
All of a sudden, we're in the middle of a war zone.
Americans abroad and at home wondering how long the U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran will last.
We projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that.
This is not Iraq. This is not endless.
Now, in a new war powers notification to Congress, President Trump saying it's not possible to know the full scope and duration of the operation. Trump officials set to brief all of Congress today, as some leading Democrats who got early briefings argue Iran did not pose an imminent threat to the U.S.
There was a threat to Israel. But if we equate a threat to Israel as the equivalent of an imminent threat to the United States, then we are in uncharted territory.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the administration knew Israel was preparing to strike Iran, and the U.S. acted first to prevent a chain reaction.
There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us.
With now 6 American service members confirmed dead as Iran strikes back. The president vowing to destroy Iran's missile capabilities and navy, ensure they can never get a nuclear weapon and can no longer arm terrorists. Secretary Rubio also said the hardest hits against Iran are yet to come, as a bipartisan group of lawmakers is pushing to force a vote this week to limit the president's war powers without congressional approval. House Speaker Mike Johnson called that dangerous and predicted the vote would fail. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
In response to those attacks, global oil prices are up. Customers at gas stations have seen the jump at the pump for sure. U.S. crude oil soared more than 7% Monday, pushing prices higher by nearly $6 a gallon. Experts say this is expected with the ongoing war.
We have a military situation like this, especially in the Middle East. It creates that anxiety in the marketplace, and you're going to see almost an immediate impact with oil prices.
Experts with AAA do not expect any gas shortages or drastic increases unless the supply or infrastructure out of the Middle East is impacted. According to AAA, the current national gas price average sits at about $3.10. Here in North Carolina, it's $2.91, and in South Carolina, it's $2.83.
More national headlines now. A federal appeals court refused to block the enforcement of the Supreme Court decision that struck down most of President Trump's tariffs. The White House asked for the court to wait 90 days to allow it to consider its options, but that request was denied. This means a lower court can start working on a plan to refund money to small businesses that challenged the president's tariffs and won. Paramount Plus and HBO Max are now becoming one. The two streaming services will form a single platform after Paramount's merger with Warner Brothers Discovery. Right now, there's no name or pricing for the service. Paramount's CEO says that combination would take place, quote, over the coming years.
Apple adding a budget model to its most recent iPhone, the iPhone 17e. Costs about $600. That's $200 less than the standard model. This new iPhone will have the latest system, but lacks the extra enhancements compared to its counterparts. It comes in black, white, or soft pink, and will be available for pre-order starting tomorrow. Taking a look at your current radar. Chris standing by. He's back with your latest weather impacts.
It is almost time to spring forward. A reminder that daylight saving time starts this weekend. That means you'll need to set that nightstand alarm clock ahead by 1 hour this Sunday, March 8th at 2 a.m. Or you can just watch your smartphone jump an hour at that time. The annual change aims to make better use of daylight and to save energy. Daylight saving time will end on Sunday, November 1st. That's when our clocks will fall back 1 hour. And here's the thing, right? You lose the hour of sleep, yes, but so much more daylight, Chris. That's the great part.
And it's officially now until April 25th, we're gaining over 2 minutes per day, Lisa.
Nice.
So we're gaining a lot more. Now, this is the tricky one. So I want to talk about our sunrise and sunset changes. Here's today, and we're getting pretty close to almost being equal time. So our sunrise time is at 6:51. Our sunset time is at 6:21. So of course, simple math, springing forward, that means the sunset time is going to be during the 7 o'clock hour, but so is the sunrise time. That's where it gets a little bit trickier, just because that means it's going to be later bus stops and kind of switches up our morning. How these are going to change: the earliest sunrise time that we have is actually at 6:08 a.m. and that's from June 5th to the 19th. So we're pretty close to that, but we are going to spring forward, and then we're going to pretty much chip at least a minute off of that per day. Our sunset time, since we're jumping to the 7 o'clock hour, it actually gets to 8:41. So 8:41 from the 20th to the 27th of June is where we hit the latest time there. So it's all there in the month of June that we typically have that. It's Severe Weather Preparedness Week, which is always a great week for us to kind of dust off our weather knowledge, because it's this time of the season, especially in April. That's what we know most of, that big tornado outbreak that happened back in 2016, not just here, it was a 3-day event, but it really impacted the Carolinas. But this is why we have so many tornadoes here in the United States. The U.S. tornado setup. It's that cool air that's coming from the Rockies as a cold front is diving in. Meanwhile, you have that warm and moist air that's flowing in here from the south. You collide these into the triple point, and that is a perfect tornado setup. So when you have one of these low pressure systems, the colder air, and sometimes this time of the year, it can actually lead to some snow through the plain states and the upper Midwest. But it's right in this section that you have a chance for some of the worst storms. Watch what's going to happen next week. I've been kind of pinging like, oh, something's developing here. Watch this. A big low. It sweeps through and eventually could be here on Friday. So we are seeing that classic setup that I think is going to really pick up the winds. And I know that this is way too far out, but it's pattern recognition. It is the season. I'm going to rewind this for you. Notice this. You're starting to see some snow move in. This is this weekend, but then it's next week. Once you see that strong gradient through Omaha, this is Wednesday heading into Thursday, picking up a line of storms Thursday heading into Friday. Just letting you know that I am watching this closely. Next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I think it's going to be our real first big severe weather potential breakout across the United States. We'll be watching that a little bit closer to the next Thursday heading into Friday. But in the near term, just a little bit of mist, maybe a little dampness, and hopefully nothing too big for your morning commute. But let's double check with Majestic.
All right, let's do it. I-485 still looking all right. No big concerns there. You can see roads are nice and dry for you as well. Let's switch it over to my map. Still a handful of ongoing problems. This one here, it's going to slow you down if you take Independence inbound. That's where we do have a crash as you're approaching Briar Creek Road. It's backed up to Sharon Amity Road, so about 5 miles or so. Once we're heading to the north, still following this, Prosperity Church Road and Bridge Road. Minimal impacts, but that is close to 485 there. And then heading down to the south, the Billy Graham Parkway, I-85, there is an ongoing wreck. They're clearing it to the side, but it's not completely cleared yet, so a little bit of a delay. This is out by Lake Wiley, Shopton Road, west at Wildlife Road. This has been ongoing for a while, and I'm still seeing a lot of green, so overall, not too concerned. If you're making that inbound lane on I-77, it looks all right if you're coming in from York County. We'll have another check on those roads coming up here soon, but let's send it over to Larry Sprinkle.
At this Larry Sprinkle, time for our Tuesday tail wagger, along with our friends at Animal Care and Control. Let's bring on our tail wagger today. His name is James. James is about 6 years old, weighs right around 45 pounds. And by the way, his adoption fee is waived. Look at that guy right there. He is a sweet dog, and believe it or not, He is trained on a treadmill. He loves to do that. He's also house trained, knows some commands. Just a great dog, available at Animal Care and Control, open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, both days, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Affectionate, knows commands. His fee is waived, so he's free to adopt. His name is James. Once again, weighs right around 45 pounds. He's 6 years old. And that's James. He's our very special Tuesday Tail Wagger.
All right, Larry, thanks so much. 8:55 now, time for us to take a quick break. But make sure that you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Coming up at the top of the hour, Jane Monreal takes over from our live Impact studio. She will have the Chief Tax Officer, Mark Stiber, on to talk tax season. We're getting closer to that April 15th tax deadline. Make sure you stay with us right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everyone. Temperature is pretty much stagnant, either side of 40 degrees. Already hit our lows for the morning, but they haven't changed too much. Highs only in the mid to the upper 50s today. Clouds holding on for most of the day, but I think we will get a little bit brighter mid to late afternoon, so really after 3 o'clock. But again, it is mainly a day in the 50s. Then only dropping down in the mid to the upper 40s by tomorrow morning. Cracking the skies open a little bit more. Still, I think we could have some morning fog to begin the day. And then 77, that's where we're on Sunday that we're thriving to get back to on Wednesday. 80 degrees on Thursday, near a record and even record breaking on Friday, and then 80s with a slight chance for a pop-up shower storm through the weekend. All right, Majestic, one last look at our morning commute.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. This is what I-85 looks like right now out near Mallard Creek. Area roadway is nice and dry, and you can see those cars are flowing just fine. Not seeing any huge concerns. We do still have a handful of ongoing problems. This right here, it's on I-77, northbound lanes at Remount Road. It's backed up to Clanton, so about a 1 mile delay there. Heading over towards the east, Independence, those inbound lanes also very slow because of an ongoing crash. Inbound lanes right by Briar Creek Road. And then finally, Sugar Creek Road right at North Graham Street. A new crash was just reported.